Welcome back everyone. In today's video, I'm going to kick off a small series about planers and how I use them in my small shop and how you might be able to use them in yours. Today's video is going to focus mostly on how to use the electric hand planer to do jointing on long boards. Now, as many of you know, I don't have a jointer in this shop. I don't have room for it. I use a combination of hand tools and power tools. This power tool here does a great job of jointing, but you have to use it the correct way. And I'll show you how to install the edge guide on this and how to set it up so that it will do effective jointing on long boards. Of course, you can do this by hand if you don't have an electric hand planer, but in today's video, I'm going to talk about the electric hand planer specifically, and we'll get back to Stanley planes in a future video. I'll use this both to take off the rough edge on a board and also to clean it up quite a bit to get it into a near finished edge. The follow-up on that will be using a number 4 smoothing plane. This is my Stanley Bailey number 4 smoothing plane, which I use to clean up the edge at the end and get a glue-ready edge. For the electric planer, you can build a jointer jig that very much allows it to function as a small jointer in your shop, and that's great for smaller stock up to about 2.5 feet maximum. But if you're going to joint longer boards, you're going to need to use the edge guide that comes with the planer, and you're going to need to know how to set it up correctly and how to use it. It's not as easy as you think. So with that, let's get to it. The first thing you're going to need is your electric hand planer. This one is an old Bosch electric hand planer. I've had it for probably more than a decade and it is still going strong. Say what you will about Bosch, but the older Bosch tools really hold up, and they tend to be very good quality. So this one has been around for a while. I've changed the blade once. If you watch my channel regularly, normally you will see this planer upside down in a jig that I made to turn this into a jointer. And I normally use this in the jointer jig for anything that's less than 2.5 feet. Anything the length of a table leg or less, I will usually use the jointer jig. If you haven't seen the video on how I built the jointer jig, go check out the link in the description below. But today I'm going to use the other parts for this planer. There's the bigger piece, the edge guide right here. There are the smaller parts like this L bracket. There's a toggle bolt, and there's a toggle nut, a bolt, and a couple of washers. The older Bosch planers like this one have the mounting hole at the front. The newer Bosch planers will have them at the back as well. And other brand of planers that use edge guides will often have 2 mounting holes back and front. So there'll be a variation depending on which brand you're working with. Now, to put this together properly, I'm going to start with the little bracket. The smooth flat edge faces on the inside. And that's pretty much it. It looks like that. This plate does not interfere with the blade in any way. It's actually designed to sit on top, and you can slide it back and forth as needed. I'm going to set mine for about 1/3 of the way. When you lock that mounting screw right here, it locks into a square position. So it's a pretty good edge guide. It's very solid. If you don't have an edge guide with the planer that you have, check Amazon or check the manufacturer's website to see if they sell an accessory for it. It's well worth having an edge guide. Now, the second part to all this is you need a workbench with a ledge, or if you're using a traditional workbench, use a dead man or some kind of similar setup to do the edge planing. I like to use this simple ledge that I've built onto my bench. I can bring things up a little bit if I need to. So what I'll do is I'll put a couple of shims down if I need to go up a bit, then put my board on top, and now I'm clearing the top, no problem. The next thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to clamp it on there, and you'll notice that I have these holes at the bottom. I've got one here and one here. So instead of buying a really fancy, expensive vise system, I simply take one of these quick grip clamps. I remove the head, and now I'm going to put one end into the hole. With these clamps, these removable heads for the quick grip clamps, the great thing is that you can reverse them and have them going in either direction. On edge jointing, you can end up with teetering a little bit if you're not careful. So when you're running it along, it's really easy for it to slip just a little bit, and now you don't have a perfectly flat plane. So that is why I built a jointer jig for this planer, just for that particular issue. Now I still use it like this on longer boards, but you have to keep in mind that you've got to keep it dead flat and hang on to this tab and press against the side the whole way as you're guiding it. If you don't do that, you don't get a nice edge. And that concludes using your electric hand planer to joint boards in a small workshop. Now these are usually about a quarter of the price of a jointer. I didn't like mine when I first bought it. It really was frustrating at first. I got a lot of snipe, and it really came down to learning how to set it up properly, making sure you're taking off a very minimal amount at any given pass. Now these work really well for jointing. They're not so great for surface planing. I like to use my hand planes for tabletops, but that's a topic for another video. The nice thing about the electric hand planer is you can use it both ways, in the jointer jig that I created and also by hand with the edge guide, and that makes it a very versatile tool to have in your workshop. So don't let yours collect dust. If you've got one, learn how to use it, and if you're working with long boards, don't be afraid to take it out and try it. The only thing that can really beat it is a good Stanley number 7 or 8 jointing plane. Otherwise, this is a great way to go, especially if you already have one. I want to thank each and every one of you who've donated to this channel. It helps me tremendously. It helps me continue to make and edit these videos. If you want to help this channel in other ways, you can buy a set of plans on my website. But if you just want to donate, head on over to my donation page right over here. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. There are a couple more videos on this side you can watch. Until next time, thanks for watching and have a great day.